All right, ladies and gentlemen, you see it up there on the screen. The Pittsburgh Steelers, after 2 weeks, have a brand new head coach. His name is Mike McCarthy. He's 174, 92, and 2 as a head coach. So just about the same record as Mike Tomlin. McCarthy comes in at 62 years old. And not the greatest hire, but we got Mike McCarthy, the hometown kid from Pittsburgh. That's who we're going with our head coach, ladies and gentlemen. Dynamite Dave here, my main man Dees. How you doing today, Dees?
Real morning. It's 174 and 112 and 2.
Okay, 112.
608 win percentage.
60%. I mean, that's good.
Mike Tomlin was 640, so like it isn't the end of the world as some may have you believe.
All right, so we got Mike McCarthy now as our leader in the locker room. Dees, when you first heard the news, what was your thoughts about Mike McCarthy being the fourth head coach in the Pittsburgh Steelers' rich history?
My initial reaction is probably mirrored by the overwhelming majority of what we're seeing on socials, which is, are you fucking kidding me? Only because we hadn't yet met in person with Shieldhouse and Shula. But as I've dug a little bit and thought it over and everything, I've talked myself off the ledge. I'm still like, it's still not my first choice, but look, there are worse things that could have happened. We have people out in the world that are literally acting like we just hired, the losingest coach in NFL history. I see idiots on some of the social groups talking about, oh, well, now we're the Browns and I hope you like 4 wins every year. Just shut the fuck up. All right. He is a 608 win percentage coach over the course of 17 seasons, 8, something like that. I don't know. A lot. He's been around. He actually has a better postseason record than Mike Tomlin. His regular season's a little worse. He has had losing seasons, but sometimes you need those losing seasons to retool, revamp, and everything. And I think that has hurt the Steelers more so than it helped them, because again, we were one and done, and then we're picking in the 20s, and we found some gems, but we've also found some people that are no longer on the team. So if McCarthy comes in and this year is a bust, guess what? We get to draft a franchise quarterback next year. And I got news for you. Of the coaching candidates that are out there, there isn't a coaching candidate that I would rather have to bring my brand new rookie franchise quarterback along than Mike fucking McCarthy. Not Shieldhouse, not fucking the Kubiaks or anything like that. Mike McCarthy has coached some of the greatest quarterbacks of our time. He was a quarterback coach for Joe Montana with San Francisco, or with Kansas City. He was also a quarterback coach with Green Bay with Brett Favre in 1999. He was the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints from 2000 to 2004. So he was with Aaron Brooks and Drew Brees. Then he went to San Francisco in 2005, had Alex Smith. Then he went to Green Bay. We saw what he did with Aaron Rodgers. We went to Dallas. We saw what he did with Dak Prescott. Basically turned those guys into elite quarterbacks. So I'm not mad that Coach McCarthy might be the guy that leads our next franchise quarterback.
Hey, Dees, real quick, a little bit of help. Adam Schefter just posted 9 minutes ago. The Packers are hiring former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon as their defensive coordinator. So that takes Al Harris off their list as going back home to be the defensive coordinator. He had an interview there yesterday. Al Harris, I know that me and you talked about him off the air. Would you like to take Al Harris as the defensive coordinator for your Steelers?
100%. And I would just about bet anything that I got that he's already been on the phone with McCarthy. I would have to imagine that McCarthy already has a lot of his staff picked, just going into these interviews. He's probably got names in mind and people in his pocket that'll be, the interesting part is as we start to see how these positions are going to be filled. But yeah, Al Harris, I'll take him for sure.
Al Harris, I remember him in that walk-off pick six against Seattle when they did the coin flip in Lambeau, and Matt Hasselback called heads and said, "We'll take the ball and go win the game." And then they drove down to midfield, and Al Harris picked it off and ran it in for a touchdown.
That's him. That's the same guy.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we'll take the ball and we're going to score.
Yeah, that's Al Harris.
Yep. Whoops.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a Hasselback fan, so that gives me even more liking to Al Harris. Al Harris, I'll get us our defense coordinator. If we don't get Al Harris, then give us Anthony Weaver. I like the way both of them are. They both coach really good defense. I know Al Harris is the defensive backs coach right now for the Chicago Bears. And if you can get him in Pittsburgh, I would like to see what he can do with this defense. I really would.
For sure. And what we talked about off air, I would not at all be mad about Raheem Morris either. I wouldn't be mad if McCarthy, being a Pittsburgh guy, gets a little nostalgic. And I got 2 names for you. Hell, I'll throw 3 names out there in the coaching world now. That would be really cool to come home. And
okay, real quick, did you see what Ryan Clark said on First Take?
No.
Ryan Clark says he's ready to be a defensive coordinator or cornerback coach. So if you have the opportunity, and RC, if you want to come be a cornerback coach, reach out to McCarthy, get your shot. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Dees. Go ahead.
Well, sticking with that theme, Larry Foote. I would take Larry Foote as a defensive coordinator because the man, he learned under the best ever, and I would definitely like to see what he could do, or at least bring him in as an assistant. I don't know exactly what his position is right now. I don't think he's DC, but he's been in coaching for a while now. Another guy that I think would make a good offensive coordinator, even though again it's title mostly, but it would be something that could help him in his resume, basically, to elevate him to that next level, would be Antoine Randall L.
You know what name I got out there for offensive coordinator? Former Steelers, former Super Bowl winning or backup quarterback. You got him from the Jaguars, and he went
Byron Leftwich.
Yes, yeah. Yes. Go get me BL. Go get Byron Leftwich today. Even if he's not your offensive coordinator, well, he's got the title for it. Go get me Leftwich. I mean, get somebody that's been there to the game and know how to play. And I mean, just do it. Just build yourself a great staff and allow your staff to do what they do. And you run the offense. Go get yourself a great offensive line coach. Go get yourself some good cornerback coaches and defensive line, and let's go, man. Let's go. Yeah. If it's Rodgers, I'm okay with it for one more year, like you said, Dees. I mean, he was a top 15 quarterback in the league. We talked about that off the air. He played in 16 games and he threw for 3,300 yards, 24 touchdown passes, and 8 interceptions. That's decent for a 42-year-old quarterback that had essentially one wide receiver. That's it. That's all he had. Give him another stud on the outside. Use the middle of the field where you can use your tight ends and let him go. Let him go. I'm not going to say he's going to be an MVP, but Rodgers knows the offense. Yes, is he old? He's going to be 43. But if it's not Rodgers, then it has to be Will Howard. It has to be.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that I've been seeing on the socials is, they went and got McCarthy just so they could bring Aaron back. No, they didn't. First of all, if there's anything that we learned, it's that, Aaron Rodgers, he isn't going to make his mind up yet. Now, is it a possibility now that McCarthy is the coach? Yes. Without Tomlin or McCarthy, I think it was going to be a 0% chance Aaron Rodgers comes back. Now, it's a possibility. I have to believe in my heart of hearts, though, that when they sat down with Mike McCarthy and had this interview, that is the number one priority that McCarthy talked about was his plan at quarterback. And all of you Steeler fans out there that have literally been swinging from Will Howard's dick for the last year, if there's a coach available in this hiring cycle that you want to put Will Howard underneath, It's Mike McCarthy. There's no other option. Again, we talked about this before we went on the air, but McCarthy has coached some great quarterbacks, and some of them were rookies, i.e., not rookies, but well, Rodgers was a rookie, but he coached Drew Brees early in his career. He coached Joe Montana late in his career, but still, he coached Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was a solid quarterback, but one could say that once McCarthy got there in 2020, Dak's play went through the roof. And when he was healthy, Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL today. And he was again this year, even though they went through some shit with CD being out and their defense being absolutely atrocious. And newsflash for those of you that don't know, Dallas's offense that was so good this year is Mike McCarthy's offense still, even though he's not there.
Ryan Schottenheimer was his offensive coordinator.
Exactly. That's McCarthy's system. Where everybody was talking about George Pickens. Look, he goes over the middle. Guess what? That's fucking Mike McCarthy's offense.
And
go ahead.
How good of a year did Pickens have?
How good? It monster. Like what was second team All Pro or Pro Bowl, something like that.
And we knew he had the talent. You just had to get him somewhere where he could settle down, let them get him the football, and have a good quarterback to get him the football. Because George was here for 3 years, right? And had 5 different quarterbacks that threw him the football. I mean, listen, Pickens had his problems, but he's fucking talented, and he's going to get a boatload of money this year in free agency. Does he go back to Dallas? I don't know, man. I don't know
if he does. It's basically going to turn into another Cincinnati situation where they're going to have all this money tied up in offense, and they're not going to be able to pay anybody on the defensive side, and they're going to basically turn into the Bengals.
You know where I would love to see George go? I would love to see him go to San Francisco in the Kyle Shanahan offense with Purdy. I mean, you get Ayuk's played his last snap over there. I'd love to see him team up with Jawan Jennings and just be in that Shanahan offense. I think with Purdy, Kittle, their running game, their offensive line, I think that he can do good there. And they're going to replace Brandon Ayuk. They really are.
Oh, yeah. Ayuk is done. And I'm not so sure. Although, well, here's the thing. With Mike McCarthy as your head coach, like there were literally receivers that people talked about that I was like, no, because he won't do anything in a Mike Tomlin coach team. Take that off the table with Mike McCarthy. McCarthy is going to have a great passing offense. He attacks the middle of the field. And guess what? He uses his tight ends, and he's not afraid to use his tight ends. He's not afraid to let his quarterbacks take chances over the middle. Like if there is a knock, the one knock that I will give on Coach McCarthy is he's had some of the most questionable clock management that we've seen in the last probably 2 decades. But Mike Tomlin he's up there in probably the top 5 as well. Again, not my first choice, but given the history of this team and what they've done with their head coaches, I don't hate it. I think that this is probably going to be more of a transitional period for us. Not to say that we're just going to tank for a few years. I still think we're going to be competitive because that's what we do. We still have a lot of talent. We don't need a complete rebuild, just more of a retooling. There's, going to be some roster turnover, but it doesn't need to be massive. And I still think that McCarthy can be a solid coach for us for the next 5 to 8 years until we find that next guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you said that, Dees. It also gives some comfortability if Rodgers comes back that he can convince maybe a Cam Haywood and a TJ Watt to settle down and say, hey, listen, it'll be okay underneath McCarthy, and we can probably win this year if we go get some pieces. I mean, because if you go look at Cam's interview and he talked on his podcast, he did not look like that he was coming back, and he was not comfortable with the Mike Tomlin stepping down. And also, he said some stuff earlier in the year about Aaron before he signed, but let me tell you this. Rodgers and Cam Haywood are really good friends now.
Yeah, they're definitely close.
And I bet if Aaron says that he's going to come back, I bet Cam also says, I'm going to come back. We're going to give this one more run, and they're probably going to go get a stud number 2 wide receiver. And like you said, there's going to be some cap casualties on defense. Probably Patrick Queen, probably Cole Holcomb, people that are familiar there. You got Younger with Jack Sawyer, which can fill in and do good. You got Peyton Willis. You got Nick Herbig. You might have to lose Kyle Duggar, Pierre, because they're going to get paid. I would my 1C or my 1A would be go get me a wide receiver first.
Yeah.
Then either B or C, re-sign Kenny Gainwell. That's a 1A or 1B or C, and then go get me another solid starter that's in his mid 20s to 30s on the offensive line and protect him and trade Jonnu. Trade Jonnu for whatever you can get.
Yeah, and, trade him, cut him. Jonnu cannot take a roster spot this year. I just don't see it. I'm more than happy with Freiermuth and a healthy Darnell, and then Connor Hayward can be the third tight end / tush pusher / fullback / special teams guy. But yeah, I'm in agreement.
You talked about it too, Dees. I didn't mean to cut you off. You talked about it too with Mike McCarthy's offense. Don't you remember Jake Ferguson and Rico Dodell had big games against us in the Mike McCarthy offense? Yeah. I'm okay with Jake Ferguson because I think he's number 3 on their depth chart right now as their tight end in Dallas. Go get me a Jake Ferguson as your third tight end, and let's line him up. Go get him. Find some way to get him. They'll find another tight end somewhere, somebody that's a blocking back. But let's talk about our old offensive coordinator real quick. How about Arthur Smith going to Ohio State to be their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, that one definitely caught me off guard. I didn't even know that was going to be on the radar. It's weird because I think Arthur Smith took a lot of unnecessary heat in Pittsburgh for the sole reason of he was handcuffed by, isn't it ironic? No, it's expected. But Arthur Smith, like I said, I think he got a bad rap in Pittsburgh. I don't think he's a bad coordinator. I think he was handcuffed by Mike Tomlin's fear of going over the middle and taking chances and things like that. Now, that being said, just in my knowledge of Arthur Smith in the NFL, I'm not like thinking of him going back to college is just, I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yes, and it's about money.
Well, yeah. And who knows? I mean, maybe he'll be fantastic there. It's just the Arthur Smith that I know of. And again, this is without me really digging into the research. Maybe he was a great college coach, but that was just kind of an out of the blue hire. I wish him the best, even though it's Ohio State. And to quote Adam, fuck Ohio State. But
I mean, I'm okay with Arthur Smith being the Ohio State offensive coordinator. Maybe he needed that for himself, because he's been in the NFL. And let's remember, he doesn't have to coach. His dad owns FedEx, so he's gonna get FedEx once his parents pass away. It's his. He doesn't need to coach. I mean, and I think maybe him going down to college and having a decent year down there, or getting them a national championship, and him showing that he can be a leader of these kids, maybe gets him another opportunity for a bigger gig next year as a head coach or an offensive coordinator next year. They had to pay him big money for him to leave the NFL to go there to be the offensive coordinator. But listen, they got Ryan Day, they got Matt Patricia on defense, and they got Arthur Smith. I mean, come on, man. That's a pretty solid coaching staff. Even though Ohio State didn't win it this year, I mean, I'm okay with Arthur Smith. And get back to Adam's question here. Isn't it ironic the 3 worst teams in the league still don't have coaches? Wonder which one gets filled first. That's a very good question, Adam. Don't know what the Browns are doing. They'll probably waiting on other essays to be turned in. I mean, shit, like why would you want to go to the Browns and have to write an essay? Why?
Yeah, I read that. That's weird.
And why are you not calling Sean McDermott to be your head coach? I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand why is Sean McDermott not getting, any interviews. And listen, kudos to Phillip Rivers for getting an interview with the Buffalo Bills. And that was handpicked by Josh Allen, by the way. That's Josh Allen's boy. So Josh Allen wanted him to get a interview. What's your thoughts on that?
Wild. It's wild. I expect that Phillip Rivers will be an NFL head coach before it's all said and done. I don't necessarily think it's going to be this year, but who knows that they could actually, they could pull the shocker. And I think he would probably be better served coming in as a coordinator first. But I think that's going to happen. As far as who's left, we got the Bills, the Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns. Correct?
Yes.
I mean, the Bills is the most attractive job.
I mean, Adam does bring up a good point. McDermott in.
I was just gonna say I could see McDermott going to Arizona.
That does make the most sense because McDermott will change the culture there, and you'll have him for another 10 to 15 years if you allow him to coach.
I could see the Bills and the Raiders making a big play for the Rams coaches.
You know whose name not to count out for the Bills job, though, and has been floating around, and where there's fuel, there's fire? Bill Belichick.
Oh, man.
There's a lot of people talking about Belichick, and he hasn't said anything, and neither has his camp. And what a way to stick it to the Patriots going to your rivals.
Yeah, that's an ultimate fuck you, but I don't know about Bill anymore. I don't. Obviously Bill's a great head coach, but I think a lot of what Bill was able to accomplish was because the staff that he was able to put around him. He is a tremendous leader without a question, but I don't know. Like you're talking about what is he, 73, 74?
Yeah.
I guess if you have a ready-made team, which Buffalo is close to that, they need, there's holes that they need to plug. I guess if there is an opportunity for a, 2-year guy or whatever to come in and help get you over the hump, that would be the scenario. Other than that, it's still a tough sell. You don't want your head coach coming in and knowing that, it's only going to last for a couple of years because, he's not going to be around for a whole lot longer.
Let me ask you this, Deez. Why haven't we heard any news about the Raiders head coaching position? Like, has anybody interviewed for that job?
Not that I've really seen catch headlines. I could definitely see that being, again, I think the Raiders are in play for the Rams coaches as well as the Bills. Raiders could also make a play for McDermott. You get
don't you think if they're making a play for McDermott, they would already announce that they're trying to interview him or whatever? Or has anybody talked to McDermott to see if he wants to coach again this year?
I honestly don't know. I've been so wrapped up in following what the fuck we're doing. I gotta think there's teams that have contacted McDermott, and maybe McDermott's just like, you know what, I'm going to take a year off. Maybe he doesn't like the current options that are out there, and he's just telling teams, I'm good for right now. I could understand not wanting to go to the Raiders for the simple fact of you don't have a quarterback, even though you're going to get Mendoza, and I believe that Mendoza is going to be a good one. You never know. It's to this day, it's still a crapshoot. And if a coach like McDermott, and yeah, they say, here's your number one pick, it's Mendoza, here's your quarterback, go win. If he sucks, that's on you. That's who gets fired? The coach.
Yes.
You're sticking him with this player and turn this guy into a winner. If you can't do it, it's your fault. Well, maybe the guy just isn't an NFL caliber player after all.
Yeah.
I.e. like a Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell or, so maybe McDermott doesn't want that pressure, having just been fired, many say unjustifiably.
And you're right, though, Deez, especially with McDermott and Tomlin, them sitting back this year and looking at the landscape of the future of the NFL. We had 10 head coaching positions open this year. 9 coaches got fired, 1 step down. Who says that 9 don't get fired next year? There could be a possibility of coaches that are being hired this year get fired next year. Raiders don't have any stability in their franchise. The Browns haven't had any, and that's no offense to the Browns, but it's a proven track record. Arizona depends. Also, the Titans, Robert Saleh. I mean, Miami, one of them jobs could be available. I know that if Tampa Bay doesn't win next year, that job might be a possibility that's open.
Jets.
Jets, Cincinnati. I mean, how the hell does Zach Taylor still have a job in the AFC North is beyond me. I don't know. He should have been the first coach fired in the AFC North with all the talent that he's got. I mean, and you see, I think there'll be 4 or 5, maybe 6 jobs that open next year.
Oh, there's 5 minimum. There's always 5.
And Philadelphia, they're not sold on Sirianni neither.
Yep, so Sirianni is a 1 season collapse away from being run out of town. Minnesota is a name that is a team that you could watch that if they shit the bed, they've got a lot of money tied up in, JJ and Jefferson, not McCarthy. So I can see that kind of going to shit if they don't show vast improvement in the upcoming season.
And Adam's probably going to be mad at me for this, but I think KOC is going to find a way to get rid of McCarthy and try to go get a stud at quarterback. I really do, because I don't think McCarthy can stay healthy enough and keep his starting job. He hasn't over the last 2 years stayed healthy. Unfortunate for him. I mean, not to say that he's not a bad quarterback, but we haven't seen him for a full season. And we know anybody who goes into KOC offense is going to be really good. Look what they did with Sam Darnold. Look what they did with Danny Dimes. Got him big contracts.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Dobbs even went in there,
cold
Dobbs, and played well. I like O'Connell as an offensive mind. But as we're now seeing in today's NFL, it's win now. And if it doesn't happen, even if it's, not O'Connell's fault, whether it's McCarthy just doesn't live up to the hype or injuries or whatever, I wouldn't be shocked if that's a team that moves on next year just because everybody wants results yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely right. But getting back to this Mike McCarthy hire, D's, I know he's 62 years old. He has won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He did beat his hometown team, Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you think that he can possibly take the Steelers back to maybe the Super Bowl? You think he's got a Super Bowl in him?
It's possible. I mean, we held on to hope for better part of 2 decades with Mike Tomlin. It's possible. Obviously, they got to fill some holes. They got to, get younger in some places. But again, our offense is no longer going to be our detriment. A McCarthy offense is going to be improved, and anything that we've seen in Pittsburgh, I would say since 2017. And it's a possibility. I'm excited to see what he can do, if anything, with Will Howard.
And you know who's really excited about this hire? Ben Roethlisberger. If you go back to his podcast from a couple weeks ago, he called this to the T and said, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm going to get Mike McCarthy. Let me ask you this, Deej. Do you think Ben has any pull in the organization where he can maybe shoot a text to them guys and say, hey, this is who I recommend as head coach. Can you guys give him a look? Or do you think that was thrown out the window because how it ended with him?
I don't think he's got any kind of pull like that. I think if he were to have any kind of pull, it would have been with old man Dan, not Art. And potentially Tomlin and or Colbert, which Colbert obviously, Tomlin gone too. But so no, I don't think so. I think he's far enough removed from that locker room that like they're not calling Ben for advice. That's just Ben's mind saying, basically what I'm saying. If you want to develop your next quarterback, whether it's this year or whether it's next year after maybe Aaron comes back and they take one big swing at it, McCarthy is as good a candidate as any to turn over your franchise quarterback to and get developed under him, even if it's only for 4 or 5 years to get that guy where he needs to be before they find maybe the next, 15, 20-year head coach.
Okay, so let's throw some names out there if you don't have AR and you don't go with Will Howard. Malik Willis in a Mike McCarthy offense?
Yeah, again, show me the numbers. Show me what it's going to be. I I only worry that the Malik Willis situation, because the free agent market for quarterbacks is so bad, that he is going to be overpriced. And
Okay.
so I hesitate to spend that kind of money on somebody. I mean, yeah, we saw him play what 4 or 5 games this year, and they were all pretty damn good, but still, uh, I don't know that I want to base those just small sampling size on a 20 to 30 million dollar contract.
And Malik Willis, watching some interviews, he says that he was a little immature in Tennessee and needed to have some good coaching. And he's had damn good coaching in Green Bay and a great system. So
Yeah,
yeah, you have to put around him a system that's kind of like that in Green Bay. And he also credited Mike LaFleur, who is the quarterback coach there, for opening up his eyes to see what he can see downfield. And Jordan Love and Clayton Tune and all the guys in the quarterback room. Go back and watch his him talking. The kid has matured. I would be okay with him if you can just turn the reins over to him and we get the Malik Willis that we've seen for 4 games in that stretch and can manage the game and get a mobile quarterback. I'm okay with that. But my first and foremost choice would be Will Howard. If we can't get Will Howard, here are some of the options. How about a Danny Dimes? Would you be okay with Danny Dimes?
yeah, I think Danny under Mike McCarthy could be good. I don't think that's going to be on the table though. I think Indianapolis was pretty happy with what they had, and I think that if he doesn't break his leg and then tear the Achilles, I think that Indy doesn't completely shit the bed the way that they did. So I think they're going to bring Danny back. If anything, it helped their cause because now they're going to get Danny at a discounted rate.
What about Anthony Richardson if he becomes available?
Man, I don't know. Pure raw, and I mean super raw talent. It's there, but Richardson may have burned his bridge, man. That with the whole basically quitting on his team, I'm not sure that that's the kind of headache we want, especially given off of the series of head cases that we've had in various positions. So I'm not sure that that's one. I if you can bring him in dirt cheap, like third string money, yeah, by all means, bring him in here, throw him in camp, see what he's got. But I'm not giving him any promise of more than a potential third or maybe second string job. But if you come in here and just absolutely light it up, you might earn an opportunity.
What about this name? And he's a former Steeler and he only spent 1 year in New York. Would you bring back Justin Fields?
Again, for the right money, like he's not getting the contract that we offered him last year that he turned down and went to the Jets. No, I'm sorry, you had your chance. I'll give you 5 million a year. See what you got. But if we're gonna just throw darts at shit like that, just give me Will Howard.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm saying that. I mean, these are the names that I'm seeing floated around linked to the Steelers, and the other name, which I know you absolutely hate, is Kyler Murray.
That
I know
no,
you do not want him, no matter what offense we have. I don't want him neither. I'm okay again, D's, and we keep stressing this. I'm okay with Will Howard as our starting quarterback moving forward if Rodgers doesn't come back.
yeah. If Rodgers don't come back, to me, there is no other option in my mind, and I know that it's not going to work out that way because that's not how the Steelers do business. They're going to throw a dart somewhere and try and pretend like we're going to take a big swing here and we're going to bring in Kirk Cousins or Kyler Murray or something stupid like that. Fuck that. If you don't get Aaron back and you can't, to me, it's Aaron or Malik or Will.
Them are
That's
your
it.
top three.
That's the list.
Them are your top three options.
Yes, if Malik wants too much money, which I think he will, I just because the market is what the market is right now. And Aaron decides that no, I'm going out, I'm riding high, I'm done, that's it. Then you just say, okay, Mike, here's Will Howard. This year is a free pass. We're not gonna fire you. This is Will Howard. He's a national championship quarterback. He's got all the tools. Make make or break. Find out what he is. And it's a win-win because if he's what a lot of the fan base thinks he is, but there's a lot of people that don't think he's that, but if he's that, guess what? We found a 6th round gem and Mike McCarthy is the guy that you want coaching him up.
And
Or
here's the other thing too, D's, to counterpart that. We don't know what Will Howard can do. We haven't seen anything.
yeah,
We don't know.
on the side, if that's the way that you go and you turn it over, you hand Will Howard the ball, he comes out, he shits the bed. Guess what? We have a top 10 pick in what is supposed to be a extremely good quarterback class. Win-win.
Yeah,
I'm willing to eat a 5 or 6 win season if it means we get our next franchise quarterback and find out that Will Howard is not him.
absolutely. Absolutely. I am too. I mean, you've seen what Will Howard did in college. He had two great wide receivers, two great. We all know that the NFL game and the college game is totally different. But you learn from Aaron Rodgers through this year. And if Aaron doesn't come back, we've seen Mason. We've seen that story. We've seen him start. He's a great spot starter for you and probably a top 3 backup in the league. I would be comfortable if he needed to play 2 or 3 games for us and get us some spot starts because you know he's going to win 1 or 2 games and he's going to turn the ball over and he's got a good deep ball and he can command the offense. We all know that with Mason. I'm bringing him back. But if you're confident in Will Howard and you go get him another wide receiver and put pieces around him, I'm okay with Will Howard as our starting quarterback. I am okay with that. And we don't know what we're going to get from him. John Gruden talked about him like he was the next big thing in his quarterback class. And he said out of all the quarterbacks he dealt with in that draft, that Will Howard was the smartest. Go back and watch the video. Go
Yeah,
back.
no, I'm right there with you. And again, we've been saying all along, you got DK Metcalf, you got Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson might thrive in a McCarthy offense, but you go out and you get, even if you have to move up a little bit, you get Carnell Tate, or you get Malachi Lemon, or you get what's his name, Garrett Boston or whatever, big tall dude.
What happens if you can go make a trade for a Cortland Sutton and pair him with DK or a Jalen Waddle? Because you know Miami's going to blow it up. Miami's going to blow it up here big time. You know who else would be a good number 2 wide receiver? And you guys probably hate this. Give me Jerry Jeudy.
Jeudy wouldn't be bad. But again, with all the draft capital, there's no reason why we can't come out of the first round with one of those top 3 receivers, whether it's Tate, Lemon, or Boston.
If Tate's there at 17, do you move up and trade and get him?
Yes.
Right in there?
Yes, in a heartbeat. Yep. Okay. If Tate drops past 15, I'm making calls and seeing what I can throw together. Lemon is also an intriguing candidate. He's a little undersized, but still.
The kid from Indiana. The kid from Indiana.
Surratt.
Yes, Surratt.
Surratt can be had later. He's not going to be a first round guy. You could get Surratt with a second or third round pick, I think. But the other one that's intriguing is Boston. He's a big 6'4" guy, runs good routes, goes over the middle, makes combat catches. Can you imagine having 2 big, tall, strong receivers on the outside with DK and him, and then you still have Calvin that you throw across the middle, or Roman Wilson potentially. You got Muth, you got Darnell.
Skoranek, if you want to bring Skoranek back, he'll come back on special teams. But again, out of all the coaches we lost, I'm going to miss Danny Smith. I really am. Kudos.
Yeah.
Danny, good luck in Tampa Bay. We know that you'll have fun, and we know what you'll bring there. And he'll probably bring, if a Miles Killebrew's a free agent or a Skoranek, he'll probably bring one of them guys with him over there. Somebody.
You know what sucks about that situation is that, and I guarantee you right now, Danny Smith is kicking himself because Danny Smith didn't want to leave Pittsburgh.
Okay? No, he didn't.
Danny Smith would have been kept by Mike McCarthy 1,000,000%.
I
If
agree
he
with
didn't
I agree.
already sign with Tampa Bay, Mike McCarthy would not have let Danny Smith leave Pittsburgh.
Well, he can quit the job and just come back to Pittsburgh.
Technically, yeah, but I mean, maybe he would. Who knows? Danny's 70, what, 2? Maybe he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go spend the last few years of my
Hey,
coaching career down in Florida.
who go get as our special teams coach, and Browns fans might hate us. Go get Josh Cribbs. Go get
Is he
Josh Cribbs.
coaching?
No, he's not coaching. He's just wandering around in Cleveland doing his podcast, which is very successful, by the way. But I mean,
That don't mean you can coach, though.
I mean, you're right. Joe Hayden says that he'd like to be a cornerbacks coach. I just seen that on his Debo and his podcast, which is very hilarious, by the way. If you're a Browns fan, Joe sticks up for the Browns, and he's
He does. It's a good show most of the time.
Yeah, you guys should check that out. Harrison's pretty funny too. I mean, the other wish Arthur Smith and Danny Smith all kinds of luck. And I don't know if Terrell Austin will get another job. He'll probably be somewhere. But again, D's getting back to this Mike McCarthy. I'm okay with it. It's not the best hire. It's not who I wanted, but he was on my list last week. I think he was 5. I'm okay with it. I really am. We needed something different to move on from Tomlin, and maybe it's the voice that changes the locker room and gets these guys a little bit more motivated.
No, I'm more than okay with it. Again, not first choice, but we weren't in the room. We didn't see the virtual interviews with Shieldhouse and Shula. Maybe they just didn't say the things that Rooney and or Khan, Weidel, whoever, maybe they just bombed it in our eyes, or their eyes, I guess I should say. I don't hate it. And like I said off the air weeks and weeks ago, when we were struggling like at the midpoint and we were actually looking at the potential reality of a Mike Tomlin firing and or resign, I said I wanted Mike McCarthy, and here it is. So I'm not going to go against that. Again, I was right there with you on my top 5 list. I had him in it. It's just the thing that is a little bit puzzling is you didn't have the second in-person interviews with Shula and Shieldhouse, but I have to trust that they made the decision without doing that they, whether it was a gut feeling or we don't know what McCarthy says. We don't know what McCarthy walked in there with as his plan. He might have knocked their fucking socks off. I don't hate it. I don't. I'm not, everybody's like, well, it's just the white Mike Tomlin. No, it's not. Yeah, their records are the same, and they both, have failed to reach the promised land with teams that they probably should have done better with, but it's going to be different because it's a totally different style of coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we talked about this. Tomlin's time ran its course in Pittsburgh. It was time for both parties to move on. You were going to get the same shit out of Mike Tomlin over the next couple years because he doesn't want to change his ways. He doesn't want to hire, like D says, compatible defensive coordinators or offensive coordinator. And the defense, come on, that was his thing. Everybody knows that he had his finger on everything. The Arthur Smith offense, he made these guys at times look like they were beneath him, and he called all the shots. Listen, I'm cool with it. Gutting the whole coaching staff. Yeah, I just I'm gonna miss Danny Smith. Like you said, Dees, that would be the only one that I would keep. I'm glad that Arthur got back on his feet. But you know what, man? It's a new era in Steelers football, and I'm okay with it. 19 years ago, we dealt with the same thing. We didn't know what we were going to get from Mike Tomlin when he became the head coach. We didn't know that. You don't know what McCarthy's got planned. You don't know the third time around if he's learned his lessons from Dallas and Green Bay. We don't know that. Again, like D says, we didn't sit in an interview. We don't know what their strategy or their game plan is moving forward. Maybe they told him, we need you to develop Will Howard because we have confidence in Will Howard and we've seen what Will can do in practice. Maybe that's what they seen. And McCarthy's probably like, okay, well, I can work with that. And there's a possibility of maybe me getting Aaron Rodgers to come back. And we're going to have to deal with that because that may be reality when it all comes out, when Aaron does what Aaron does. And, they're going to give Aaron as much time as as he wants. And Aaron has said it. If you go back to the Baltimore game, the press conference that him, Cam Hayward, and TJ were there on the sidelines, and I can't remember the reporter asked him if he was done, and he kind of looked at her out of the side eye and was like, "No, this year, let me get through this year. Let's play. Let's see how the playoffs goes. Don't know what the future holds for Aaron Rodgers." So for them people that's already saying that he's done, you got to remember he's 43 years old and still in the top 15 in passing. I'll take that any day. If you're a top 15 quarterback and you made the playoffs, okay, I'm good with Rodgers. All he needs to do is give you the same play he gave you this year. Go get another wide receiver and let him be Aaron Rodgers. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, after game 10, hey, we're giving the keys to Will Howard. Let's go. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'm not against that.
I'm okay with Rodgers coming back. I'm also okay, but my number one option is if Rodgers doesn't come back, give the keys to Will Howard and let Will Howard drive the truck. There you go. Let him drive it to as far as he can. I mean, go get yourself a.
I'm not against that.
Go ahead.
All right. Talk for a minute. We have a sync issue. I'm going to refresh.
Okay. Yeah. So also too, if you're going to go get a defensive coordinator, go get me Al Harris. Al Harris, I love him. He's a defensive backs coordinator from the Packers, or not Packers, but the Bears, and we know how that works out. He's played with McCarthy. He was their defensive back in Green Bay, and like I said earlier, he's the one that did the pick six return in Lambeau. Deez, are you back with us? Still frozen. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the Mike McCarthy hiring. I really am. I'm okay with him being the head coach. Again, not the first choice. Pittsburgh fans are going to be mad about this. Let's just see what he does. It can't get any worse. I mean, we had Tomlin for 19 years, didn't win a playoff game for 7 years. And McCarthy's had some 12-win seasons. He really has, with a talented roster in Dallas. And Deez, you back with us?
Yep, we're good.
All right.
But yeah, again, the whole Aaron situation, I probably going to eat these words, but I would like to think that given the situation with the new coach and everything, I don't think this is going to be a scenario like it was last year where we're basically waiting until, what was it? I guess we went through the draft and we didn't know 100%. We didn't get an actual answer from Aaron until June, I think. Although Mike Tomlin basically let it be known on the Ryan Clark podcast that they knew, like that Aaron had pretty much said, "Yeah, I'm coming. I'm just going to take care of this stuff." I would like to think the scenario is going to be before free agency, before they make any rash decisions, even though, again, I don't want anything in the free agent market other than a friendly deal with Malik Willis, which, again, don't think that there's going to be such thing, because I think the market is just bad and that Malik is going to basically be overpriced and somebody will pay it. And I hope I don't want to say I hope it's not us, because I'll be sitting here eating my foot if I say, yeah, I don't want him for that money, and then he signs for that money somewhere else and absolutely lights it up, because the kid does have unbelievable talent. We saw some evidence of that in his brief appearances with Green Bay, but I still think that that's when we need to know from Aaron.
I think we'll know before free agency, and I think we'll know before the draft with Aaron, because if McCarthy can convince him to come back, we'll know, so they can get started on whatever they're going to do, so they know what they're getting in the draft. And I probably would think, and it's probably a 50% chance that we know before the draft if Aaron's coming back or not.
So I think before the draft, April 23rd or 4th, whenever it is, I think that's a must. That, like, if I know they didn't come out and give a deadline again, largely in part because I think they already knew. They just kept it hush. I think they knew back in February of last year that Aaron was coming. It was just they were letting him do his thing. But I think that it needs to be known. It needs to be basically out there and the decision made before the draft, because we're going to need to know what direction we need to go. Even though quarterback wise, there's nothing in the quarterback range that I want in the first round. I don't want Tyler Simpson. I don't want Chambliss. And if we can't get a quarterback, if one doesn't drop to the second round, forget it. I don't want it. I want wide receiver 2.
I I agree 1,000% with you. If none of these quarterbacks in the draft tickle your fancy, or if none of these free agent quarterbacks tickle your fancy, then again, I'm okay with Will Howard starting, and I'm okay with Aaron Rodgers starting. Them are the only options you got right there.
If one of those top 3 receiver options that I listed are not there when we make our pick, or we can't make any kind of trade, the only other option I would go with is there needs to be a bona fide number 1, either safety or left guard / left tackle. And if they're not there, I'm fucking trading the pick away and hopefully cashing in one for next year and start the stockpile for next season.
I think this is a prove it year for the Steelers with this McCarthy hiring. I think they are in win now mode with this. I really do. I think this may set them back a year if this is what is on their mind. I think they make a big splash in the draft because this is all on Omar. If Carnell Tate falls, like you said, out of the top 10, and he's there at 11, I think Pittsburgh moves up and get him. I really do.
At the very least, they need to try.
Yes.
They've got all those picks, throw together some kind of package and see what you can do. As long as you take a swing, if you miss, you miss. But yeah, try and get Tate. If he's not there, then take a hard look at Boston or Malachi Lemon. And to me, again, my options for the first round this year are wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 2. I don't really give a shit about anything else. Part of that is the fact that we have been burnt for the last 2 years over this, pursuit of a wide receiver 2, and shit's falling apart and not worked out. Like it has to happen. If you want to get your money's worth out of DK Metcalf and you gave him $130 million, you better put a viable option on the other side so that teams can't just focus on him and take him away. As much as I like Calvin Austin, he makes some big plays or whatever, but he's not a bona fide 2. Roman Wilson has not shown that he can be a bona fide 2.
We don't even know what Roman can do. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in 2 years, so we don't know what he can do. We don't know if he's a number 3. We don't know. I mean, he didn't play in Tomlin's system or Arthur Smith's system for a reason. These revealed it last week that he was running the wrong routes. That's why he was open. I mean, is that the case? Or are they blaming him, or were the routes wrong to begin with? Don't know.
If Aaron is brought back, Roman doesn't make it out of camp unless he turns it around, because I think that's where the main problem came from. I think that they did not mesh because Aaron is a perfectionist. And even if you're one step late, one step early, whatever, you throw in the timing off, Aaron's going to say, get him out. Like he ain't working out. Get him out of here.
And it's not like Aaron doesn't go at everybody. He fucking did it with Romeo Dobbs. He did it with Garrett Wilson. He did it with DK Metcalf in that game against the 2 drops when he threw him the ball. He's over there bitching at him on the sidelines. That's what you need from your quarterback. You need that.
Yeah. Again, to beat that dead horse, no player on the team had anything negative to say. In fact, they loved Aaron. They loved his leadership. He proved all of those naysayers wrong. He is a true leader. Came in and basically took over that locker room along with, Cam Hayward, obviously. But for him to come in the way that he did and to just command the respect of everybody on that team shows that he was worthy of that. And for that reason and that reason alone, I would welcome him back. But again, if it ain't him, You got to get Will. Find out. Let's just see.
I mean, again, we are going to beat this to dead horse until we find out who's a starter week one in the end or for the Pittsburgh Steelers and see how this McCarthy offense goes and this McCarthy roster is constructed because there's going to be some changes. There may be some changes people don't like. There may be some changes you do like. Go get yourself a stud defensive coordinator. Go get you an offensive coordinator who doesn't call the plays that you trust to, get these quarterbacks ready to go, and let's go. I mean, D's real quick. Let's do our picks before we close. AFC Championship game today, Denver and New England. No Bo Nix for Denver.
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth on this. New England looks like a juggernaut. It's going to be probably pretty nasty weather up there. However, Jarrett Stidham, I mean, this isn't a bum backup that hasn't played. Like, he's been in this system. He played in New England for a little bit. He's got a great coach in Sean Payton, great offensive coach in Sean Payton. Looked good in preseason. Denver's defense is legit, and I think if Stidham comes in and doesn't create turnovers, doesn't basically hand them the game, I think Denver can win this. Or wait, that's not in New England; it's in Denver. Never mind. Yeah, give me Denver in an upset. I think Stidham does enough, and I like Denver's defense to pressure May. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to take Denver 23-20.
All right. Bill King says New England. Donnie says Denver. My thoughts are I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan. Vrabel's a former Steeler. I like the way that he coaches. He turned that team around. Give me New England. I know that people are bitching. Oh, well, we don't want to see another New England dynasty. Well, guys, listen, they're there. They got a good quarterback. They got a good coach. They got a good roster. You may not see a dynasty, but Mike Vrabel has coached his ass off there and deserves to be coach of the year for what he did there, him or Sean Payton. Give me just for Vrabel's sake. I'm a big Vrabel fan. Give me the Patriots.
Right.
Bill King says Rams over Seattle. These your thoughts on that?
Man, my heart says the Rams, just because I think that they have an overall better coaching staff. They have Matt Stafford. They got Devontae. They got Puka. But man, Seattle looked like a wagon last week, and that's momentum is everything in the playoffs. And I know that the Rams didn't look horrible, but Seattle just looked godly. That's going to be a tough out to go into Seattle. I know it's a divisional game, but God. I'm going to go with the crafty old guy. I don't know how much I believe in this pick, but I'm going to take the Rams. Again, talked about it on Unscripted. Part of this is with my heart because back in the 80s when the Steelers sucked, I jumped on the Rams bandwagon as a, preteen with Chris Everett. Yeah, I know it's Jim. The early days of Jerome Bettis, Kevin Green. So I'm going to get nostalgic and say that the Rams are going to somehow find a way to win on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I like Matthew Stafford. I like the way that McVay's offense runs. I think that they find a way to win this game. I think it's going to be the Patriots and the Rams in the Super Bowl for a rematch. And if for somehow, some way the Rams end up losing this game, Shieldhouse and Sheila be scooped up tomorrow, right after the game, to be head coaches, guarantee.
I think by Wednesday, both of those guys will have jobs.
George says Seattle versus Denver for me. The one I don't want is Rams versus Patriots. That's the worst Super Bowl in history. A few Bulls back. Different time though, George. He says Bryce says Seahawks versus Patriots. He wants revenge against the Pats. I mean, I don't know. Any of these four teams can go to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. We'll find out tonight. We'll find out who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
3 of the potential 3 of the potential 4 matchups are somewhat recent rematches. The only
Bill
one that
King,
wouldn't be a rematch would be the Rams Denver.
Bill King, real quick, asks us, who do you guys like as the Browns head coach? Deez, I'll let you start with that or end with that.
At this point, I gotta think that they're either gonna throw the house at a young guy like Shieldhouse, or they're gonna go with Schwartz. Those are the 2 names I think make the most sense.
My thoughts are, here are my 3 picks. 1, you better go get Sean McDermott, culture changer. You've seen what he's done. He hasn't even got an interview with you guys. 2, it'll be Shieldhouse or Udinski as number 2. And number 3, it'll probably be Schwartz, but I don't think you can give Schwartz the keys to the ship. I really don't. You've seen what he did in Detroit. Go ahead, Deez.
I did see that they were bringing Udinski back for a second interview. So yeah, I that completely forgot that I saw that this morning. So I would say he is definitely coming down the stretch as the leader in the clubhouse, I guess you would call it.
Let me ask you guys this question, Browns fans, real quick, and Deez. If Udinski gets the job, does Schultz stay or Schwartz stay? He's 30 years old. Is Schwartz going to listen?
I think money talks.
And if Schwartz says no, does Pittsburgh snatch him up as defensive coordinator?
I wouldn't be against it. He's a good defensive mind. I mean, we could finally see him moving TJ around. You know, look what he's done with Myles Garrett and those guys. That Cleveland was top 3 defense in the league all year long. So I would not at all be against that.
All right, guys, have a try to stay warm. Deez, I don't know what kind of snow you guys got, but it's coming down here. Snow is supposed to last till midnight or not later here. It's snowing today. You guys got 5 inches?
Yeah, we got about 5 right now. I think it says it's 6 degrees. Supposed to get some bitter cold move in over the course of the next few days, which to me is the worst part about all this. But yeah, snow wasn't as bad. So,
all right. So for Deez, for everybody out there in Steeler country, for out there wherever you're at, whether it's sunny, snowy, have a good rest of your Sunday. Watch some football. We'll be back here next Sunday, same time, same channel. Chip will be back in. We'll start breaking down. Hopefully, Steelers got a coaching staff by then, and then we'll get into the draft, who we'd like to see, or any free agents who we'd like to see with the Steelers. But again, for Deez, for me, we'll see you guys next week here, Steel City Renegades. Have a good rest of your week.
Redline Network introduces our newest partnership, Outlaw Light. Outlaw is crafted for all of the beer drinking patrons of America. They aren't preaching or teaching, their mission plain and simple, to provide a high quality beer at an affordable price. Outlaw is crisp, crushable, refreshing. Available by the case, tall boys, 16-ounce 6-packs or singles. Go to outlawbeer.com to find the nearest can or tavern near you. The Redline Network proudly raises their cans to you. Stay bold, Outlaw.